Bonjour. Mino Gijagat. Welcome, everybody. It's a beautiful day. And to start this wonderful day of gathering, I would like to welcome Grandmother Renee Thomas Hill of Six Nations.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is, as she said, it is a beautiful day when people come together and celebrate life. And that's what we're here today. We're celebrating life. We celebrate the life of all creation. And so we'd always look at our mother, the earth. And so in our way, we always acknowledge her. And so at this time, I will acknowledge her. Deitino lada ni nistaha yon hansari. Deitino lada ohende raso. Deitino lada John Heko. Deitino lada kai so. Deitino lada gurunda santana ogwerli so. Deitino lada utsit no so. Deitino lada kanyandero. Deitino lada sikad nigora. Deitino lada ratuguris. Deitino lada kaeli ni walagi, deitino lada ne sonkotsia de kanika lakwa, deitino lada ne yonke sutta sutta lakwa, deitino lada ne odistika roni. And so we give thanks to all creation. We always acknowledged her because without her we would not be here, all of us. And so this is why in our way we always give thanks to that one that has provided for us. And today they called it land acknowledgement. And so on this land that we are on was where many of our nations came to gather. And so we acknowledge the Mississauga, the Haudenosaunee, the Neutrals, all these different ones that had come here a long time ago. And so we like to acknowledge all the ancestors that are with us today and all your ancestors, because this is a beautiful day when we come together and when we celebrate. And so we like to thank each and every one of you that has come here today, and we send blessings to all your families and to your communities. But most of all, we send blessings to our Mother the Earth, because without her we cannot, as they say, survive. And so we are very grateful that we have the medicines that has sent our prayers up for the continuation of life. And if there is at this time anyone that is, as they say, heavy with sadness, we hope by the time that this event is over, that your spirit has been lifted in such a good way, because we are now hearing the voices of the youth, and this is what we need, because they are our medicines for the future. And so we acknowledge those young ones that are coming. We always say acknowledge the seven generations. So in this sense, we have gathered and we celebrate the past, we celebrate the present, and we're celebrating the future. And so I like to say thank you for this opportunity of being a part of your day. And I wish that more and more days would be like this, of celebrating our unique gifts that everyone has, coming together of one mind. And so we say, ho, nyawa, miigwech, take care and have a beautiful day and an adventure with the youth. Ho.
Jimmy Gwetch, Grandma Renee Thomas Hill. It's always this good medicine that we like to open up our events as Indigenous people, just to know that we are entering. Just as we ran the program, we call this sacred space. We come forward in a good way, and we look forward to sharing this space with you today. So Chimigwech, Grandma. And now we will watch the amazing creation called All People's Land from co-op student Aiden Dahl.
When I see you and speak your name, you might think you're different, with an imperfect hand. This isn't the case, we are all the same, as this isn't one's, but everyone's land. I should apologize, as I've been full of ignorance and bliss, letting my wealth and control grow in size. How couldn't I see it? It was hard to miss. I've convinced you were the imperfect kind, saying horrible names and lies. I had a false state of mind, putting you in a false disguise. I took your home, turned it into iron and chrome, made it a place of confusion and power, as my creations operated on a daily hour. I took your family, so I would teach them negatively, teach them about my own way by torturing them every single day. I took your pride, so you would run and hide, and everything you would respect, I would come and dissect. I'm sorry for being full of greed, for calling you the secondary breed. You were the wolf, I was the deer. I was filled with selfishness and fear, but now I can see it clear of who was the real predator here. But now we can't look back. It would be dwelling on the past. We need to start filling our crack and come to agreements at last. I need to see the beauty of your way, how you see nature and its wonder, and your love and respect for it each and every day. It makes me feel astounded and want to ponder. We have to realize each other's vision, how we treat one another with love, and see how greed can cause division. Learn to put our other thoughts above. We need to see your way isn't satanic, but magic. As peace is the one thing we desire, not to make you an addict. It is time for the 8th fire.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Byron Grant. I'm one of the lead mentors on the co-op and internship program for Black and Indigenous youth. I'd like to just take a moment to pick up on the acknowledgement that Grandma Renee Thomas Hill offered, and take a moment to say that the city of what we now call Brampton is part of the treaty lands of the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. For thousands of years, Indigenous peoples have inhabited, cared for, and told stories on this land. In particular, we'd like to acknowledge the territory of the Anishinaabe, the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, the Ojibwe and Chippewa peoples, the land that is home to the Métis, and most recently, the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, who are direct descendants of the Mississaugas of the Credit. And whenever I do a land acknowledgement, I like to take a deep breath in, and then think about what that actually means to me today as a settler, as the grandson of Jamaican and Guyanese immigrants who immigrated here to Canada to provide a better life for their families. Today, I feel called to sit with the shame of the recent discovery of 215 children found in an unmarked grave on the Kamloops Residential School in Kamloops, BC. I feel called to sit uncomfortably with that shame, and also to think of the times that I failed to challenge or question the inadequate and false education I received about Indigenous peoples in Canada, and how long into my adult life I regarded these lies as truths. And so I'm inviting all of you who are not Indigenous here today to sit in that discomfort, to acknowledge it, and see what it reveals to you. And when you're ready to turn that discomfort into action, because we must, that is our job, to refer to the calls to action in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, to see in what capacity you have in your lives to enact meaningful change. Thank you.
Miigwech, Cameron, for those beautiful words. And now I am going to speak on the performing Tree of Life art piece that was created from youth Idalia Boyer for the Performing Arts Initiative for the Co-op program. I want you to take a moment and reflect on this tree. What do you see? Let's start at the roots. Those roots are representation of each of our family's roots. Entwined in those roots are our family stories and gifts that were given to us from generation to generation. As you reflect on the tree trunk, that is our journey and growth and moving forward. And as we move forward up the tree trunk, we start to see the branches of opportunity. And in the performing arts, there is so much opportunity. And as each youth traveled up, they got to choose, or they get to choose, which branch they want to walk, what area they want to learn, and what mentors will be sitting there awaiting them to teach them those ways that they have learned as well from the previous mentors that have taught them. Or maybe it was just originally imprinted in their DNA to do that work that spoke to their soul. And so that is the performing arts tree of life, and to know that there is opportunity in everything in all that we do. And at this time, I would like to now introduce and call on all the program leaders to come on to the camera. Awesome. So we have Danielle Walters, my apologies. Okay, there we are. Danielle Walters, Keegan Aday, the intern, Cameron Grant, Christina Crong. And that is our team, and you'll get to learn more about each of us very shortly. And now we would like to welcome our next guest from Algoma University, Mary Wabeno Mckay.
Good afternoon, I guess. Time sure flies when you're having fun. I'm Mary Wabeno Mckay. I'm the Vice President, Niaganid, Anishinaabe Initiatives, Equity and Student Success at Algoma University. And I'm so very pleased to be here this afternoon with you all to celebrate this amazing program. I bring to you greetings on behalf of our President Asma Vesna, as well as our senior executive, who are so happy to be able to provide our support to this amazing program, celebrating the Performing Arts Co-op and Intern Program for Black and Indigenous youth. We had the privilege and the honor to meet the young youth that were involved in this program earlier this year on March 25th. During our meeting with them, they were able to share with us some of their amazing gifts and talents. And I must say, from that meeting, I've been so deeply touched and really quite amazed at how much our young people can grow from experiences such as this program. We understand that Black and Indigenous youth continue to be underrepresented across many genres, many disciplines. We hope that through our support of this program and through the work of the mentors that are involved in this program and many more to come, that Black and Indigenous youth will continue to have these experiences where they can grow personally and professionally, even at this young age. They become mentors among their peers. They become leaders within their families, providing opportunities for other youth to follow in their footsteps. And we're so very proud of the young people who are involved in this program. We had the privilege to meet Keegan, Sharika, Aiden, Shamoy, and Gabriel at our last meeting. And we wish each and every one of them nothing but the best as they move forward. And miigwech to all of the program leaders for such an amazing job. We look forward to our continued support of this program and seeing more great things come from this program. Miigwech to Grandmother Hill this morning, who opened up in prayer for the land acknowledgement. I'm ever so grateful at the time you've taken to really reflect on what that land acknowledgement means to you personally, and particularly in this very sad time in our history in this country. So I say miigwech. I also want to acknowledge all of the young people who may be watching this afternoon. And I lift you up because you truly are our leaders as we move forward. And we look forward to being able to walk on this journey together. Miigwech.
Aho miigwech, Mary Wabeno Mckay. Thank you so much for those words, and Gizagen. And so as we move forward, I would like to welcome Executive Director of Performing Arts Mr. Stephen Shipper.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Elder Grandma Renee Thomas Hill and Mary Wabino Mckay. Please accept these heartfelt thanks to everyone here online attending this webinar, and to performing arts staff Christina Crong and Sandra Lefrancois for conceiving and manifesting this remarkable program. They and our program leaders, Angela Boyer, Danielle Walters, and Cameron Grant, and our generous sponsor, Algoma University, and this program exemplify the values that Brampton stands for: courage, trust, compassion, and integrity. Thank you, Councillor Santos and Councillor Williams, and thank you, Mayor Brown and Commissioner Nader, who unfortunately were called away. You and your colleagues lead our city with your clarity of vision and by walking the walk of Brampton's values. It's thanks to the city of Brampton that we have this program. And it's thanks to you, Mayor Brown, Councillor Santos, Councillor Williams, and Commissioner Nader that we are so fortunate to live, work, and play in Brampton. It's now my honor to invite Councillor Santos to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Stephen, and thank you everyone for having me here today. I'm Rowena Santos, Regional Councillor in Brampton, Wards 1 and 5, where the Rose Theatre is located. And I represent the area together with Councillor Vicente, who's just on my corner over here. I'm also the Chair of Community Services and the City of Brampton's Council representative for the Arts Advisory Panel. And before I begin, I'd really like to acknowledge Stephen Shipper, as well as Christina Crong, and the program leaders and mentors and the entire team behind this program, particularly Angela Boyer, Cameron Grant, Danielle Walters, and Mabulu Coker, and the co-op and internship participants as well. Miigwech, thank you again for inviting me here to share this space with you today. It really is an honor to celebrate the talented youth who have recently completed the Performing Arts Co-op and Internship Program for Black and Indigenous youth. Black and Indigenous youth. I'm saying that because it requires special acknowledgement. Thank you so much for stepping up and being part of the first cohort and internship program here at the City of Brampton. You are making history and you are trailblazing in the performing arts in the City of Brampton. And you know, this program is going to help ensure many more youth have the opportunity to participate in the future. Now, some of you may or may not know, I am a self-identified artist with a true love for the performing arts, an advocate for diverse voices in the arts community. And I would like to particularly recognize how important this moment is for artists and arts organizations in the city and also beyond, especially now. Now more than ever, we need our youth. Your stories, your full expression, it really is part of how we share the truth and how we heal as a community for generations to come. And so I want to say thank you very much for participating in the program. Thank you very much. Congratulations. We are proud of you. And again, we look forward to celebrating all of your work and all of the work of the youth who will follow in your footsteps. Thank you so much. Miigwech.
Thank you, Councillor Santos. It's now my honor to invite Councillor Williams to say a few words.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Miigwech, Wajambo, and Wagwan. I am Councillor Charmaine Williams, the first Black woman elected to Brampton City Council. It's really, truly an honor to be here to speak and celebrate your accomplishments in completing the inaugural City of Brampton Performing Arts Co-op and Intern Program for Black and Indigenous youth. I love the performing arts because it's a method of communication that can deeply drive any message home. It breaks down barriers and empowers us to achieve new levels of understanding and empathy that can forever change the way we relate to each other. I can only imagine how life-changing this experience must have been to all of you mentors and to the young people who participated. Combining Black and Indigenous is so important because we are people who were colonized, and there are parallels in the Black and Indigenous experience that we need to further explore. Parallels that we need to understand and acknowledge the hurt and devastation that colonization has had and still to this day is having to our people. This week we mourn with our Indigenous brothers and sisters the loss of 215 children who were murdered at the hands of our colonizers. These same colonizers who stole my people from Africa and colonized the Caribbean islands and forced us into slavery and bondage for over 400 years. It's through the use of art that we're able to tell our stories and are able to heal from this trauma and pave new ways to celebrate our triumphs and our resilience. All in ways that are true to how we communicate and tell our stories, whether it's through song, through movement, through spoken word, through the beat of the drum. And I commend the City of Brampton and Algoma University for having the courage and the insight to provide a platform to our young people so they are not dismissed or overlooked in this industry. Thank you to our Black and Indigenous leaders and professionals and all of you who are here for mentoring and empowering and giving our young people a voice through your knowledge and insight. Now, this may be the beginning. However, I'm confident that this program will gain momentum and grow to see more young people develop their talent to expand the world of performing arts, make it inclusive and safe for all of our Black and Indigenous artists. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Thank you, Councillor Santos and Councillor Williams, for your truly inspiring and meaningful words and for your commitment to this program. And along with Algoma University, Mayor Brown, Commissioner Nader, and all your colleagues, thank you for your unwavering support of performing arts. I'll turn it over to Christina Crong. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christina Crong. I'm the Education and Outreach Coordinator here in Performing Arts at the City of Brampton. A little bit about me. I currently live outside Brampton in Toronto. I'm from a family that immigrated to Canada from Holland and Austria. And the Crong in my last name is from my husband's side of the family, who's from Ghana in West Africa. And I've been in this role since 2019. In my talk, I'll share a little bit about the origins and the overview of this co-op program and intern program. And also sometimes people ask, why is this only for Black and Indigenous youth? So I'll speak a little bit about that too. But just to start off, for the past few years, the Performing Arts team had been hearing a desire from school boards and students to start or to bring back a co-op program at the Rose. There had been one that was paused when the Rose's mandate changed in 2015 to become a presenting theater instead of a producing theater. So when I came on in November 2019, a co-op program was at the top of the list of my things to work on. But the COVID-19 pandemic came along and shut us all down in March 2020, and so it paused our plans. But at the same time, a second pandemic was coming to light. So this pandemic might have been invisible to some people, but had been present for hundreds of years, and that's the pandemic of anti-Black racism. And when George Floyd was killed in May 2020, that became visible to a lot of people who hadn't or wouldn't see it. And so that's the same pandemic of racism that our Indigenous brothers and sisters have also long known existed. And one example of that is the kind of open secret that has been known to Indigenous folks of children who didn't return home from residential school and is now in the public light through the discovery of the remains in Kamloops. And I want to acknowledge the sadness and heaviness of this moment that we're in, as has also been shared by the speakers who preceded me. But this pandemic of racism is something that affects all people of color because of how our system operates and how white supremacy operates. And so when I say that, I mean that it's taken to be normal that the white way of doing things or the Western European way of doing things is the best way to do things. And so that affects everybody. But we know that the effect on Black and Indigenous folks is different and unique. And the histories of these groups is different from other groups who came to this land. Even though all of us and our ancestors and our families today experience different forms of trauma, we do acknowledge and recognize the unique history here. And so for that reason, we felt and we think that it's important to create a space where space doesn't currently exist for Black and Indigenous youth to come together, to talk about issues that uniquely affect them, to try to contribute to opening up career pathways in performing arts, because performing arts is our circle. That's where we have a sphere of influence. So in performing arts, we are pleased, to do that here. And so because we are a performing arts division, this program also does help us meet the goals of the City of Brampton's Culture Master Plan and the mandate of performing arts in the Rose Brampton. And so yes, it is beginning with Black and Indigenous folks and will slowly engage with all brothers and sisters around the medicine wheel when that time is right. And so the overall goal, of course, is unity and working in harmony with all people. And as we create this space, it gradually does open up and become larger space. And we would like to have all people engaged inside that space. And in the meantime, there are opportunities within Performing Arts Division for people of all cultural backgrounds, and we'll speak about that further along in the program. So very briefly, how did we go about doing this program in a good way? It was very important to be in conversation with community, and a few conversations really stand out, including an Instagram live session hosted by One Voice, One Team's Orlando Bowen and Sky Bowen that some of our team attended and really heard a call for people to look inside our own organizations and make a change. So we sought input on how to do that in a good way, including with our external lifelong learning advisory group, and also in conversation with the leadership of Native Earth Performing Arts. And input and feedback from community gave us some direction on how to do this in a respectful way and in a way that would honor, celebrate, and uplift the voices of Black and Indigenous youth. And we assembled a team together to do that work, some of you whom you've already worked. But I'd like to show you the whole team now. We have a picture of our group. I'd like to ask for that picture to be brought up so that you can see the cohort. And it's really thrilling to know that some of our co-op students are on the call today. So you'll see faces you've met already in this meeting, but I'd also like to let you know that among the co-op students were Sharika, Gabriel, Aiden, and Shamoy, and also Mogaloo, who's on the team as research assistant. So this is the team, and if we were in person, we would give them a round of applause. So thanks for putting the picture up. We'll take it down now. And then just what did we actually do? So high school students joined the program for their third quadmester, March to April. The internship ran from March until May. The program was full-time, 5 days a week. We met virtually through video calls and then document sharing through online platforms. We had 13 guest artists visit the program. Algoma University not only sponsored, but as Mary said, Craig, Jamal, Jane, and Mary all spent time with the students and offered us other resources as well. And at this point, it is my pleasure to welcome the team members to join me and to speak a little bit about their gifts and how they brought their gifts forward and used them to help empower youth. So starting with Cameron, our team will join in here.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Cameron Grant. I am one of the co-lead mentors on this project, and for me, it was really important to work alongside my colleague Angela, who's also the co-lead mentor, and Danielle and Christina, and we facilitated the day-to-day work with the participants. So for me, I brought the perspective of being an artist. I'm an actor, I'm a theater creator, and an artist educator. And my experience in theater has given me a lot of time working in teams and working in ensembles and groups of people. And I know how rare it is to be in a room with just racialized people. I know how sacred that space can be. And if we're really intentional about making space for everyone to bring themselves forward, it can be a really powerful and changing space. So what Angela brought was this really strong focus on culture and community, and through self-exploration and through traditional teachings. And I would try to connect all of that back into the art. So all of that discovery, all of that exploration, I would encourage the students to bring their histories, their cultures, their passions, and even their vulnerabilities, and fuel it into the creation of their work. And as a Brampton born and raised person, I also brought that perspective of like the opportunities I would have liked to see in Brampton when I was just starting out in the arts, and would have liked to pursue. So I tried to bring in some of those into the program as well. And just creating as much time as we could to create and engage in the process of creation and thinking about creation. As an artist, it's really important to me to acknowledge that creation can sometimes be a daunting task, especially for young people. We don't often give young people the chance to make art or be creative outside of a situation where they're being graded. So I constantly wanted to bring forward opportunities for the students to engage in the creation process. So you'll get to see you've already seen some of their work, and you'll get to see a little bit more, but I'll invite my other colleagues to introduce themselves and share what they did as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Walters, and I am the program designer and researcher on the team, along with my colleague, Mabolu Coker, who could not be here today. My background is in program design and educational technology, and I am a lover of information and knowledge, and being able to share that and have other people share it and access it as easily as possible. I'm the third of 4 children to proud Jamaican parents who came to Canada and built a life completely around the arts for me and my siblings. So I've been immersed in it since day one, and have had the privilege of having that experience and want to be able to make sure other youth have that experience as well. So my role with the co-op and internship program has been facilitating the program design. The students within the program had the task of actually creating the framework for next year's students and laying the foundation for the years to come. And so I guided them in taking what Cameron and Angela did with them in the day-to-day to host program design workshops and sessions where they would take all that experience, their feelings, their thoughts, their creativity, and channel that into creating what I'm going to present to you later on in this session. So I look forward to that. And you'll see me again soon. And now I will pass it on to Angela.
Miigwech Danielle. Bojo, Majim Kanskwe, Dejnakaz, Mayinga Nindodem. I always introduce myself in my traditional name that was given to me from my community. I am Turtle Shell Woman, which means, you know, we all have purpose on this earth as humans. My purpose here is the unity work of brothers and sisters of Mother Earth. And I don't take my job very lightly. I'm also of the Wolf Clan, and that represents my role to my community, which is economic development. And that's why I love networking as well. So just as I have my gifts and my responsibilities, I call on you to sit with yourselves to understand what your role and responsibility here is to yourself, to your community, to your family, and also to Mother Earth before anything else. And so when I took on this initiative to be an Indigenous lead mentor, I brought my gifts of vision and my teachings that were passed down through my ancestors, my teachers, my grandmothers, through a better understanding that helps us. So for the students to better understand the opportunities that lie in front of them from already who they are. But sometimes as individuals, it's hard to move forward to something that you're growing into without understanding the past of your roots and your ancestors and the gifts that you were born with into this life. So when you reflect back onto that, that helps amplify that magic that is waiting to be unleashed within you. And then also when we can start to acknowledge our gifts that we carry within us naturally, none to be the same, that is when we can sit and look at our brothers and sisters and see those gifts that they have within them. And when we work from that standpoint of looking at our brothers and sisters of that medicine wheel with the gifts that each of us were given, that is when change will come for everybody. So that is what I brought to the table. And, you know, I love each and every one of the students, the intern, the team that's here. You know, we made this work because we came with open hearts, good intentions, good mind, and we wanted to leave those students in that same way, so they will one day be able to make impact on those youth that they will one day mentor, or even their children or within their family line. So Chimigwech. Keegan.
Hello, Miigwech, everyone, or Wagwan, as Councillor Charmaine would say. So my name is Keegan Adai. I was the intern. As a recent U of T graduate and an independent musician myself, I thought that this would be a great opportunity to do something meaningful and just fulfilling. It's always, I feel as though it's always something great to serve your community. And growing up in Brampton, and as well as being an individual who identifies as Black, I basically leaped at the opportunity. And so I played the role of basically serving a bridge between the mentors and the students in sort of a teaching assistant type of role. And I was helping students in the program get the most out of the activities, and making sure they weren't only just learning about themselves and their art, but also leaving the program with skills that they could take out of it and find useful in their pursuit of their artistic endeavors. And when the students, when their time was up for the program, as part of my culminating project, I hosted an interview series that I named The Heart of Art, that essentially sought out to place a spotlight on some of the great talent and various artists of various artistic disciplines in the city, and have them speak to how their upbringing fueled their art, as well as what they believe they would like to see in the city that could help them further their artistic careers and the Black and Indigenous youth in the city as well. And yeah, so that was my role, and that was me.
Amazing. And I'm Christina Crong, and I've talked a lot already. So what I'd like to share is that I tried to bring the gifts that I believe I have are, you know, some of those coordinating skills. I really love to bring people together and think big and come up with ideas, and then really see those ideas become reality. And so I think that's my gift. And I also like to try to, you know, follow up on threads. So if a little idea sprouts here and we can connect it to something else and opportunities can arise from that, then I think I have some skills there. And so it was a real pleasure with the students to see, like, where can one idea lead to another idea. So I'll put a little plug in, because of what two of our students, Gabrielle and Sharika, started to really have a knack for leading workshops. And so they're actually going to be leading a workshop for the city of Brampton on June 12th for Brampton Pride. So one thing can lead to the other, and I think that's where I come in a little bit. So thank you, and I'll pass it over to Karen.
Awesome. So all of this work that we were all doing together really helped to create this safe space for the students where they could feel like they could come and create and not be judged, sort of a fail-safe space for them. And that's where we can create from. That's where we can start to explore that creative process. So we're going to show you a couple of the things that we were able to create in the program. The first video is going to be the 2-hour challenge. So I came in one morning and I came to the students and I said, okay, we're going to create a short film in 2 hours. You have an hour to film your content and I have an hour to then edit it all together. So we'll screen that video now. And the really exciting thing is this was towards the end of the program. So the students were really reflective about their time in the program. And it really ended up coming together to be an interesting piece. So we will bring that up, and then we will also get a chance to see Keegan's an excerpt from Keegan's Heart of Art project.
I'm leaving soon, though it is a sad departure. It's a good one. I've made a lot of memories, both good and bad, and learned so many things, both positive and negative. I've met new people and I've shared adventures with them, but now I must separate and go on my own way. Though it's sad, I gotta say goodbye to the old and hello to the new. I must welcome the new chapters and put the old ones to rest.
I want to move to Hamilton with my aunt. I want to get away from the Toronto lifestyle, and I really like Hamilton as a city. There's a mix of urban and countryside living as well, and my aunt is super laid back, and that's where I want to go. That's my secret.
I'm gonna be alright. Even though at times I feel sadness, anxiety, sometimes anger. But I'm gonna be alright.
So yes, that was the 2-hour challenge video. Our participant Aiden Dahl was already completed his term in the co-op program, but you got to see a bit of his work before. And now we will screen an excerpt from Keegan's Heart of Art project.
My last question over here. So what opportunities or resources do you wish were like available in the GTA or like Brampton or Toronto that could like help actresses or other creatives like yourself just like make their careers flourish, Like if you were mayor or something.
If I was mayor, I had a really hard time finding a dance class in Brampton. They have a lot of studios, which are wonderful, but they didn't have any drop-ins. And so I can only think that is, a financial situation or so I think an arts center that has space and room and focus for fostering the arts, whether that is arts classes, dance classes, whether it is music, maybe it's producing, maybe like a place where if I wanted to run a dance class, I'm not a studio, I don't own a studio, that I could go and do that. So I think that would be great.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I think that would, because it's so hard, if you wanted to teach mixing or teach songwriting or mic technique or anything like that, you would need to supply all this equipment for all these students, and that it's pretty unfeasible for one person to do. So to have a value for the arts enough to say that we are going to make it easier because we have the talent, we have the expertise.
Hello, everyone. So yeah, that was the lovely Allison Edwards crew. Essentially, like I said earlier, it was part of my culminating project. And these interviews, if you liked what you saw, hopefully you can go check them out when they're available. So that was just a snippet of what we spoke about and how we believe we could help artists in the city flourish. And yeah, so I'd just like to pass it to Danielle.
Hello again, everyone. Now, without further delay, we will be presenting to you what we've been working on so far for the program framework and program plan for the future of this co-op and internship program. This is still in the works. We're still gathering feedback and validating, and we'll be doing that for the next couple of weeks. So I do want to approach this presentation like I do with a lot of the work that I do as a conversation. So I will be presenting the program framework as it is right now, but I do encourage you to put initial thoughts and reactions into the Q&A or email them over. Christina will be sharing some contact information later where you can email your thoughts, ideas, and just your general reactions to what we're about to share. I don't know if I'll be able to respond live to some of the Q&A responses, but if we do have time at the end of my presentation here, I'll try to. So let's get into it. Just 1 second here. All right. So this pilot program that we're celebrating today was the first step in many to creating a nurturing and holistic space for Black and Indigenous youth to thrive in the arts. The co-op students of this program had the task of beginning the design and program planning for the future co-op students to come. I had the pleasure of leading the students through this process, and what I'm sharing with you today is the result of their reflections, their creations, and their hard thought solutions to some of the challenges and needs that they experience today. What you'll also see in what I'm going to share with you are thoughts from our leadership team that you've all met already through this session, and their contributions come through this as well. So let's get into it. So how did we go about having the students act as program designers for this program? I used an approach similar to an impact gaps canvas, which at first looks at needs. What are the needs of the students and youth just like them as individuals, as Black and Indigenous people, and as creatives? So they went through a lot of self-reflection and creation exercises provided by Cameron and Angela about who they are and who they want to be in the future. From there, we asked them to also explore outward, looking at their communities in the past, their current states, and what they want to see for their communities in the future. We spent a lot of time reflecting on these deep dives as a group, mapping out needs, feelings, and having a lot of relieving and difficult conversations. So just what I'm showing on the screen right now, like I said, many conversations were had, and very, very real ones. Ones where the students opened up to us and they showed their vulnerabilities, their fears, their dreams, and their strengths and confidence in sharing all of this with us. And so just to point out a few topics of discussion that we had, the need for accurate history and authentic voices when they're learning about their own culture, the space and opportunity to investigate those elements and reflect on what it means to them and their experience going forward. Conversations of tokenism and performative actions. That was a really important conversation that we had as we're designing this program for Indigenous and Black youth. We want to do right by them. We want to make sure that this has meaningful impact and that they're not tokenized in any way. So in doing all of this, and you can continue to read some of these comments as well, the next step to this approach was then looking at solutions that currently exist. So the students took some time to look at what already exists within Brampton, in the GTA, and throughout Canada as well, and just started to map out where these resources are, who they're for, and some of the some of the gaps that they were seeing between their needs and what currently exists. So what I'm going to present to you today is those gaps that have then been turned into opportunities for growth, improvement, and activities and designs for how we can carry this co-op forward to address some of those wide-ranging needs that I brought up earlier. So this program framework overview, we had really big ideas as a team, huge ideas in terms of the leadership team and the students as well. So what this program framework is going to help us to do is to visualize the impact that we want to create and the values that we, our team, and the students discovered are core to making these things happen. So there are currently 6 pillars that make up this framework that we're going to go over. The first being multidimensional Black and Indigenous education, community engagement, creative expression opportunities, career mentorship, holistic support, and collaborative evolution. And I'll be getting into each and every one of these pillars and how they're formed and our current plans to execute on them. And again, I do encourage you as I'm going through this to think about how you might want to participate in some of these elements. This program is continuously evolving and will always be evolving, and we encourage the community to get involved in that evolution. So first question that we have here, and one of the biggest themes that emerged from our work with the students was around authentic Black and Indigenous knowledge, history, and cultural preservation. This was a huge topic that filtered into the approach to all of the other pillars. As one of our students had said during these sessions, racism and barriers for Black and Indigenous people are not isolated. So to tackle it, we need to do it in multiple areas and not just one. So the needs that actually arise from this discussion, we have self-exploration, local Black and Indigenous histories, and racism. All of these were huge topics, so I selected a few quotes and themes under each one that I felt really summarized what the students were trying to convey in them. But under self-exploration, really that opportunity that Cameron and Angela provided for the students to use assignments, reflections, and do group discussions that allowed them to ask questions to themselves, explore themselves internally, explore external structures, and really challenge ideas and critique them, and have the space, really just have the space to do that. The next one, understanding local Black and Indigenous history. As it was already actually mentioned in this session, it really is important for students to be able to discover truthful histories of their roots, of other cultures, and to really be able to have access to authentic voices to speak on all of the above. There was a particular interest in better understanding Canadian history and even more locally, so down to a city level, how that local art scene and sector developed and the people that were involved in that. And then we have racism. So a huge topic, as you saw from the approach slide earlier, that could have went on for months. But these students really opened up here in talking about what they want to see, not just the challenges, but what they really want to see and what they want to focus on. So they did strongly feel that education was essential to addressing the systematic racism that they experience today, and not just educating themselves. And this is the part that I found profoundly beautiful, but also going out into the community and being able to share that education with other people. If I can just read one of the quotes from one of our students there that says, if people are shown the beauty of a culture they're against, they may open up to it more. So this really did frame a lot of our discussions and some of the decisions made for the program, to the point where the students even suggested that maybe in the future we have this program open up to those who are not just Black or Indigenous, but others can come in and learn about these aspects. So we're going to look at that as something for down the line as we focus in the more immediate term on creating this space for Black and Indigenous youth. So how are we actually going to tackle this huge topic of Black and Indigenous education through the co-op? So we've got 3 main plans here. The first being program learning modules. During the pilot, Cameron and Angela were amazing in crafting essentially a learning schedule each week based off of the students' needs and what they were doing, what they were seeing, and their professional development as they learned more about what the students' goals were. We thought that it would be best to create a little bit more of a structured program based off of what Cameron and Angela found to be successful already, as well as the students. And some of the key topics that we want to cover there are Black and Indigenous education, of course, like I just talked about, anti-racist leadership and action in the arts, culture, identity and expression, and career confidence. So we describe these as learning modules where we want to build out content and curriculum based off of existing resources and through community roundtables, which I'll talk about soon. But also these modules can be flexible. We don't know what next year is going to look like. And so we want the facilitators to be able to choose what works for that group of students as they go forward. Then we have our guest speaker network. Guest speakers were a huge part of this program, and I won't speak too much on this as you'll hear from Cameron about this soon. But these were essential in making sure that the students had someone that they could identify with as they investigated their own roots and were drawing out their own future paths. And then, of course, reflection discussions. So the reflection discussions were really important, not just in the program design, but in the work that the students were doing together and building creative projects together. And with this, one of the things that I will call out is the need to make sure that they have the appropriate supports as they're doing having those conversations and making sure that even as they leave this program, they still have supports to really address some of the emotions and thoughts that come up from that investigation that they do through the program. So our next question here is, how can we better connect with youth in Brampton and the GTA? So creating the space is just the first step. A major challenge identified by the students is awareness, a very real recognition that not all youth will have someone like they did who will dedicate time to finding a program like this and putting it in front of them. So what I actually realized from these conversations was there's a real sense of empowerment as we talked about this. The students were talking about wanting to elevate the identity of Brampton, bringing this program out to the world to show what Brampton could offer and the potentials of the creatives that live here. And while using their own participation as an example to other youth in what the arts and programs like this one can do. They did feel that this program could be a leadership opportunity, which I think is incredible, and one that would allow you to actually practice doing community initiatives, planning, and execution. So we decided to actually make that a part of the program itself. Community engagement is such a huge and important pillar of the program, and for this pilot, COVID did provide some challenges to us. And have more community engagement, site visits, projects with external stakeholders, and really get the students out there basically into the world. So how we plan on doing this is gearing the group creation project to a community project. This year it was a little bit different, but for next year we do hope that we can involve the rest of the community in what they're doing, including allowing the students to actually design, plan, and execute on a community-based initiative during their co-op term while getting support from the leadership team. We would also like to give an optional opportunity for students to be connected with another department in Brampton or another stakeholder, whether it's the Rose, whether it's Algoma, someone who has a project that aligns with an individual student's goals, and that student can contribute to that project. Really, our main goal with this second pillar here is to ensure that students have hands-on experience in the research, planning, and creation of a project for the public so they can continue to do that after they leave us. So we've created the space, we're creating the connections. How do we encourage that participation and curiosity in the performing arts? So further on the topic of access, students did feel that there was a need to address some of the lacking financial, professional, and emotional support from areas of their lives that don't seem to recognize the needs of Black and Indigenous youth. At this life stage, it is very important to encourage this creative goal setting, and because it can very easily be diminished. To this, we do also need to do our absolute best to make sure that once students gain access to a program like this, that they feel welcome and safe to be themselves and to be as creative as possible. I do love this quote that you can see on the screen here about the program and environment, that this program really did become a home away from home for some of our participants in the pilot, which is really, really touching to hear. The sacred space that was created was due to a lot of things, but a lot of it, or at least most notably from the student discussions, was the warm welcome, the interview process that made the students feel like they were being talked about, and two, as mature people who knew what they wanted in life, opportunities to get to know and work with a group of other youth was really important, and really providing that space to openly and without judgment discuss topics that aren't yet normalized in other spheres of their lives. So students expressing as well that this is one of the first times that they've had an opportunity to let out some of these thoughts and feelings that they were having was really touching, and while a difficult conversation to have, highlights how crucial it is to have a program like this. I do want to point out one thing in one of the quotes here. Not everyone's parents, teachers, and others see the value of our choice to want to work in the performing arts. And so the program needs to show evidence of what we do, that there's more that goes into it. I think that's very crucial, showing evidence of what has happened here, the change in the students' performance, their confidence, their creative work is really important for them to go back to those support systems to say, hey, this is a value, please support me in this, or continue to support me in this, because it really does create a positive change. So the way that we do that is through constant creative expression opportunities. Cameron and Angela were wonderful in providing the students with plenty of these opportunities to go out and express themselves in new ways, in investigating their own creative interests, and just really allowing them to be vulnerable with us, and use their emotions to fuel their creativity. And honestly, the confidence that they showed by the end was incredible, as you've seen from some of the artwork that has been shared already. And we want to make sure that this continues for every student that passes through the program. So a lot of ideas here and how we plan to do this, but the first step, as always, and has been mentioned a few times already, is creating a safe space. Along with a warm welcome, one of the things that the students did was create a group commitment statement, which I'll actually share with you in a little bit. They designed creative activities as part of the program design work to encourage other students and future students to look outside the box and really just investigate their creative selves. They participated in creative activities themselves, as you've already seen. One thing that was of really great interest to them and even us as a team was the development of some kind of opportunities fund. So this is a chance for partners and sponsors to be able to offer something to the students that the students can apply to gain access to a program, a tool, software, something that they need in order to continue with their creative development that they might not have access to outside of this program. And a lot of that feels into what is their personal creation project. So at the end of the program, the students actually presented to us it was a really touching piece that each of them created that reflected their experience here and what they want to do in the future. It was incredible. It brought me to tears. As some of you have already seen, Aiden's poem is just an example of just how beautiful some of these pieces were. And so what the students actually had the suggestion to do was have some kind of showcase along with an end celebration. But the difference with this showcase is that they could then invite people within their support systems so that they can see that evidence that we just talked about of what they did and what they'll continue to do if they are supported in that way. All right. And so this is the group commitment statement that they formed at the beginning of the program. And this was their promise to each other, to us, as they continued through the program. And I do want to read it. It is a great piece. And so I do want to share it with everyone here. So the Dreamers group commitment statement. The Dreamers is the name that the team of students gave to themselves. I commit to believing in myself, because if I don't, who will? I will show dedication to the work I undertake, take responsibility for my actions, serve as a leader when I am called to. I commit to creating magic, to believing that I can create magic. I will be kind, polite, honest, creative, good. No, I will be excellent. I will be myself. I will commit to listening to everyone's ideas and thoughts without judgment, to treating everyone with love and compassion, to treating each other with equal respect. I will inspire my peers to be as creative as they can possibly be, to try our best in everything we do, to build ideas off each other's ideas, to uplift each other and look out for one another. Because we all have something important to share. We all need to feel valued and respected. We all deserve to feel like we belong in our workplace. I'm just gonna give a little clap and a snap for that. An absolutely beautiful, beautiful piece by the students, and just an example of one of the things that they created together. And one of those things that really helped to contribute to creating that safe environment where they felt that they could trust each other, where they could trust us and hold each other, including us, accountable for their experience throughout the program. And this next little piece that I'm sharing here, it might be a little small, but they are examples of some of the activity designs from two of our co-op students. After we've done this investigation about challenges and needs and then opportunities, they took some of those opportunities and created activities for the next year's students to do in order to encourage their creative expression. So this first one that you see here is a magazine cover activity where the students actually get to design their own activity cover that reflects their culture, their creative interests, and they can really just have fun with this and really explore their own creative selves. I did highlight here the why this is important statement from this one, where the student mentions that they too deserve to see themselves in the media and have representations of yourself in the media. So the students were really focusing too on how do we make sure that future students can really see themselves in some of these professional creative careers that they're envisioning. And then we have the second activity being one with the elements. This one was by Gabriel, and this one was really about connecting with nature while at the same time being creative. So having the facilitator come in with some materials and presenting these materials to the students for them to then create something. I really did enjoy this one for its focus on helping people to build self-esteem and confidence in their creativity and sharing that with others and socializing with other people that could identify with some of the things that they've gone through as well. And of course, the personal creation project, and I really did just want to share this quote from one of the students about their experience creating it. All of the students hands down voted that this was one of the best aspects of the program and best assignments of the program, that it really did help them to understand themselves and where they wanted to go and where they've been. So just a really great assignment and activity for them to do, and we'll be continuing that for the future of the program. All right, so speaking of, as we're preparing them for their own futures, we do need to make sure that they are supported in their professional goals when they leave this program and beyond. So one of the things that the students did reflect on as they were going through their experience of this program was the need to have a little bit more structured accountability towards their own professional goals. Our lead mentors of the program were playing so many roles and had so many hats. And so one of the things that we do want to do is making sure that the students get career mentorship. And the idea here is to provide almost like a matched mentor based off of the students' professional goals and what they want to do in the future. And this person would meet with the students on a one-to-one basis every so often during the program, whether it's like 10 times for an hour, to help keep the student accountable to their goals. First of all, setting those goals and keeping them accountable to them, and helping them to create steps towards those goals, so that after they leave the program, they have this list of steps and resources and ideas for how to continue on this creative journey that they're on. And the second plan here is just incorporating more portfolio development. The students created some wonderful pieces. So there's just this desire to have some training in how to display those professionally to the world, so that they can continue to build out that professional online presence and in-person presence. And so the next item was internal discussion with our leadership team, but also some expression from the students, and talking about how do we really nurture each student's unique talents and abilities. From the work that you've seen already, they all came with so much to contribute, and we want to make sure that future students as well get individual support, resources, and really have a curated path as they move through the co-op. So when we talk about this, one of the things that we want to also talk about is the individual learning needs. Everyone learns differently, so we want to make sure that there's a variety of ways for people to share their ideas, express themselves, and to be taking in some of the lessons that we're providing to them. So we're going to do this through holistic support. Holistic with a W, to emphasize that we aim to support all that the students are and not just one part of them. So in the leadership team and city support, what we want to do is restructure a little bit to make sure that there is a full-time program facilitator who is facilitated by a program assistant like our intern Keegan, who would develop a program schedule based off of the unique needs of their cohort. So they would take resources from a performing arts matrix, which I'm going to talk about next, and be able to actually curate that experience a little bit more for that group going through. And we also want to make sure that we invite representatives from the city of Brampton early into the program to meet the students and show their support, and then bring them at the end as well for closing celebrations, so that the students are connected to some of these individuals that are in different areas of the city of Brampton and other stakeholders involved and sponsors involved in the program's running. So I talked a little bit about this performing arts matrix and community resources. We don't expect the program facilitator to come in knowing everything about all areas of the performing arts. As Angela showed in the Tree of Life image, there are so many different areas to tackle there. So our plan is to develop out a performing arts matrix with resources, activities, organizations, and guest speakers under those different areas, including supports for mental health and wellness, so that this facilitator can really curate that experience for those students going through and really be targeting their professional goals, whether they want to go into music production or become an actor. There's something there for each of them. And then finally, we have our alumni network. We do want to continue support for the students as they move on from this program, and really have a place, continue that space for them to share their creative ideas, get feedback from their peers, work and connect on projects together, and also an opportunity for us to reach out to them as a follow-up to see what the impacts this program has actually made. Has it been a positive one? What could we do better to support you in your future development? So leaving no threads, leaving no loose threads, really making sure that we are providing, like I said, that holistic support, and not just during the weeks that they're here in the program. All right, and now we have responding to the needs of future students. Once we do develop out the curriculum that we want to create, we do want to make sure that it's relevant to each individual cohort that goes through. So this will be a constantly evolving program and constantly evolving process. 2021 was, and 2020, very difficult, challenging years for many reasons. And so we want to make sure that the program can be adapted based off of the situational context of future students. So to do that, we're going to be using, as we did in this program, collaborative evolution. So keeping some program design element for future students is really important. At the end of the program, giving future students the chance to reflect on their experience here and inform the future design and changes that are made to this framework that I'm presenting now and how it's executed. And then the second point there being community roundtables and curriculum reviews. We know that there are plenty of existing resources for curriculum that we'd like to bring into this program, as well as building on that by getting input from community members like yourselves watching today, and doing that regular review before each cohort to make sure that what we're delivering is relevant, is appropriate, and is really meeting the constantly evolving needs of Black and Indigenous youth. And finally, our final pillar here, what should we encourage each student to do as they go through this program? And so this is something that our leadership team thought about at the very beginning before we even met all of the fantastic students that we had the privilege of meeting. And then the students, as they went through the program, thought the exact same. So what do we want to encourage every student to do when they go through the program? Well, they should have fun. They are youth after all, and we do want them to enjoy themselves as they're going through this experience and really just have a really great time. And when we're in person, I hope that we can amplify that even more than we did over the co-op, this past co-op. And I do just want to read one of these quotes that puts a smile on my face every time I read it. So the quote is, "I just need caring and friendly individuals that want to grow and make amazing experiences with me. I feed off the energy around me, whether that be over the screen or in person. I'm happy to say this program and team is exactly what I need and puts a smile on my face every day." So how would we describe this program? Essentially, what we're trying to create here is a space for Black and Indigenous youth to explore and experiment with their potential as leaders, their potentials in the performing arts, and gain confidence in their creative expression. Students who participate in this program will research, they'll discuss, and they'll design ways to address challenges faced by Black and Indigenous artists and form meaningful bonds with peers in a community dedicated to their success. So what's next? First is program naming. Even though Performing Arts Intern and Co-op Program for Black and Indigenous Youth has a great ring to it, we'd like to workshop that with the students when we do our final meeting with them, and as well as the community to input ideas for names for this. Building out that modular curriculum that I talked about, including the Performing Arts Matrix, and partner in resource development, which is all about getting the community involved. And so my final question is, how will you participate? And with that, I will be ending this part of the presentation. And again, I encourage you to send in initial comments about it. And if you don't have any at the moment immediately, you're more than welcome to email them over. All right, and so now I am going to turn it to Cameron.
Yes, thank you so much, Danielle. I'm going to pick up on that question, how will you participate? That is exactly what we needed to lean on. It really takes a community to pull something like this off. Community to raise a child, it's a community responsibility. And so I guess the last key factor in this was the guest artist that came forward. It was, for me at least, to say it was amazing to see all of the people who stepped forward to meet with our students. All of us as the program leaders really had to lean on our communities and ask people to come forward to give the students some examples of what it looks like, what a career in the arts can really look like, the different variables as a Black or Indigenous student. I was overwhelmed by the generosity of our guest artists. I have to say, we had 13 artists come forward, community members. They were artists. They shared their stories. They shared their experiences, their hardships, and their journeys in the arts. They weren't afraid to be vulnerable, and we had some really deep and intense conversations. I thought it was beautiful. I think the students got to have a sense of what it means to be a working artist and how to sustain a career in the arts. And kind of what Danielle was saying, it's really important that they see themselves represented, that representation validates their own experience, validates their own interests, and it shows them that as Black and Indigenous artists, they can pursue a successful career in the arts, that their stories are valid and need to be heard, and that they do need to pursue those interests, those little inklings, those, can I do this? Yes, they can. And to have examples of that come forward really helps them to validate that they are in fact on the right path. So thank you to all of those guest artists that came forward. And just a few more thank yous to bring up as well. We just want to acknowledge that all of this wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for the Lifelong Learning Advisory Group. If you can bring up the slide of acknowledgements, who provided early feedback for this program and what it might look like and what it might turn out to be. Keith Barker and Isaac Thomas, our artistic leadership at Native Earth, who helped us steer us in the right direction, put us right back on track when we were just starting in the beginning of the program, as well as performing arts leadership staff, Joycelyn Johnson, Sandra Lefrancois, and of course, Stephen Ship, our artistic director and executive director, who supported us all the way through. You've got to meet them already, but Algoma University was the big program sponsor. And again, we would not have been able to provide the program that we were able to put together, bring in all of the guest artists that we were able to bring in, do all of the activities. Thank you to Algoma, specifically Craig Fowler, the vice president, Jane Amolo, equity and diversity and inclusion manager, Jamal Muckett-Sobers, executive assistant to the vice president, and of course, Mary Wanabo Mckay, who you saw speak earlier. Thank you so much for your time and for coming to meet with the students and spending that hour with us. That was about midway through the program. And I think for all of us in that room, we were able to just share what we had been working towards and to see your excitement about it and to feel it back when we got to meet with the students afterwards. They were so excited about the fact that they felt validated in the work that they were doing, and that you were all excited about the work that they were doing. And that really propelled the program to keep going forward. And then they started working on their creation project. So definitely that meeting really seeded a lot of the work that they continue to go on to do. So thank you for showing your interest and for making time. And I will bring in Christina to share some opportunities for going forward.
Okay, thanks, Cameron. Yeah, we're getting close to the end of our program, and I would like to share some slides and talk about some opportunities that people can have to get involved. We definitely welcome community input because we know that we don't know it all, and we want to do it right and in a good way, and we want to do it with community. So please do take note of our email address, roseeducation@brampton.ca. If you have feedback, if you have suggestions, if you'd like to offer support, if you'd like to get involved in some way, if you know folks who might like to get involved, please do send a message to us that way. This just shows the circle of people who made up this year's program. And you can see that it takes a lot of players to do a program like this. And so also by seeing it in a circle, it kind of shows you that we're all at an equal level. Nobody is higher than anybody else. Everyone's role that they play is equally valued and equally important. So, and you also see that you have a box in this circle. So you are also part of this circle, you know, if you'd like to be in some way. So everyone from, you know, I'm just looking at the top of this, the co-op students who were secondary school students, the interns, so Keegan, who's post-secondary student, the lead mentors, program designer and research assistant played a special and unique role. The staff at the city who all pitched in, as well as the guest artists. The program sponsor, which was Algoma U this year, and the co-op teachers also played a wonderful role in how they supported their students. Was really beautiful to watch and see how those mentors work. So this is our circle, and we, as we said, we're always looking to expand and grow participation. And so, as I said earlier, there is other opportunities to be involved in performing arts. So maybe a co-op intern program is not for you, but maybe you have other ways you'd be interested in getting involved. And as we said earlier, you know, all of these programs are open to everybody of all cultural backgrounds. So the Center Stage Conservatory is for performing artists who want to be professionally presented on the main stage. The Arts Education Series brings students to the theater to see live shows, and sometimes virtual shows now. Shake It Up is a program where students go through 12 weeks with an artist and emerge at the end producing a play. Volunteer opportunities at the Rose. We have summer placements for high school students through the public and Catholic school boards this summer. We have Canada Summer Job Placements that are going to be starting at the end of August, and those postings will be up pretty soon in mid-June. And also we have supports for arts and culture specialist high skills major students. And we're also open, one moment please. We're also open to you pitching us an idea. So maybe there's other things we can be doing to serve the community better. We'd like to hear from you. Having said that, I will stop sharing here and we're ready to close our meeting. I'd like to invite Angela Boyer back onto the stage. And then after Angela says a few words, we're going to ask all the panelists to come up, put your cameras on and wave goodbye.
Awesome, Chimigwech. I just wanted to close. We opened up in a good way with Grandma Renee. We did have a special guest and I'm now the special guest. But I want everybody, you know, thank you for being here today. We may not see you, but energy is felt further and you're here carrying space and holding space with us as we launch this amazing program that can impact the lives of our Black and Indigenous youth. I say Chimigwech to the leaders that sit on this platform that have stepped forward to use your voice in a good way. I also want to acknowledge our guests that sit across this screen. I may not see you, we may not see you, but we know you're there. And to close us off in a good way with acknowledging one another, I want us to acknowledge Mother Earth, that beauty that's outside. To acknowledge, we talked about gifts that each of us have. And when you close your eyes and you reflect on your life, there was certain mentors and people who crossed your path, who made an impact on you, who believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself. And that is exactly what community is being something for someone, or even just listening to that someone. But using your gifts and strengths in a good way to share amongst each other, because that is why what we call creator, to share them. Because when we share our gifts with empowerment and uplifting, that is when, just like that, you know, that analogy of the water, you throw a rock into that water, it has its ripples further than we can see. And that is exactly why each of us were gifted the gifts that we carry. So Chimigwech, everybody. I wish you all a very beautiful day. And our team appreciates each and every one of you. So I call on the team And all the panelists to come out, say Bamapi. Bamapi means till we meet again. We wish you a great journey ahead.